Hey guys, oh God, I keep saying Friday. Please slide me a pass. I'm used to doing this on Fridays. Happy Monday, you guys. And welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of this evening's show. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I'm always excited to bring on the ladies, especially a part of this project, Seasons of Divorce, that are going to come on and just speak about their season as they went through divorce and what they did in order for them to begin their healing process. So, for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Tamara Johnson. I am the founder of Make It Rise, Rebuild Intentionally and Strategically for Effectiveness. I am also the founder of this movement, Life After Divorce, where I have coined the saying, there is a life after divorce, let's live it loud. And so when I say let's live it loud, I am not talking about, speaking loud, making your voice, and it has nothing to do with your voice, but everything to do with your voice, right? Being unapologetically who you are. It happened, right? There is a life after divorce, but there is a caveat to that. You must do the work in order for you to live it. You must do the work in order for you to begin to heal, right? I truly believe that it's okay to say, this is a decision that we've made. Sometimes things just don't work, right? And I don't think we should be punished as a result of it. But what I do believe is that we should find folks who are able to lock arms with us, that is able to pour into us, that's able to encourage us to continue to move forward with whatever that thing is. And for some of us, we put who we are on the back burner or to the side because we weren't shown or we weren't told or taught that you are still an individual as a wife or as a husband. And so for many of us, we had to learn how to go back and become who we once were, or for some of us, we never knew who we were. So it's starting all over, starting from, point A in order to get to point B and C and D. And so this project, Life After Divorce, this book, this journal, Seasons of Divorce, was written for the woman who is challenged, who's struggling, who's going through divorce, coming out of divorce, is divorced, doesn't know how to put the pieces back together, doesn't know that she can have peace even within the peace, doesn't know that there's a whole community out there that is rooting her on to get it together, to live life again, right? To stand up erect and to say, you know what, hey, that was an experience. And this is what I'm doing in order for me to live it and in order for me to begin to heal. And I want to reach my hand out to help someone else who may possibly be going through the same exact thing. Nothing is new under the sun, okay? And so just because we've experienced it doesn't mean that we should experience it and then forget about it. No, help the next person get through this thing. And so that's what this journal and this movement is all about. So again, I want to say thank you to everyone who has logged on. For those of you who will come back for the replay, please like, share, leave your comments, ask your questions. I have an amazing lady that is going to come on with me today, this evening. Her name is Latrice Jones, and we met maybe a couple of years ago, I believe, through a mutual friend. And not once did we think that we'd end up here, right? Everything happens for a reason. So when we met, I want to say it was like a Christmas gathering, a dinner. And so I was divorced at the time, and maybe she had been divorced already. I don't know, but we're going to learn about that tonight on the show. But we never had this conversation. So I didn't even know that this movement was going to be birthed at that time. I'm just grateful. God is just so amazing with how he does things, how orchestrated he does things, right? So again, I am going to bring on my guest for tonight, Latrice Jones. She represents the month of March in the journal, and she's also the first month of the spring month. The season spring. So I'm going to bring her on and allow her to introduce herself to you all. Give me a second. Hey, love, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. So as I said before, to those that are on and to you as well, I am so honored to have you on tonight. I'm grateful. You know, you could be doing, I'm sure, many other things, but you chose to be a part of this movement. You have chosen to be a part of tonight's show to share a little bit, so that you can be an example that there is life after divorce. So if you don't mind sharing who you are, give a little bit of your pedigree, and we'll get started.
Okay, thank you. I'm so excited. So I'm Latrice Jones, and as you said, we work for the county, so that was kind of our 9 to 5, and had mutual friends that invited us, and had a great Christmas dinner. And as you stated, who would have known that cross our paths would cross again? But that's God being God, right? Bringing us into the room together. So I appreciate that. As you shared, yes, at that time. And for a while now, I was divorced. I got divorced back in 2011, and just, whole new life and some new experiences, and, to God be the glory for those as well. But what do I do? So many things. Like, I've worked for a nonprofit. I enjoy working with my kids and the community. We're getting involved in, local government, and I'm also the founder of LJ Speaks. And so we do empowerment workshops and seminars for youth and for women, and continuing to build out that work, and, working with my church and Sunday school, and just really, listening to see how can I be the change in the world that I want to see. So that's really my motto.
I love it. And you see, it sounds like you're doing a lot, but it is all a part of your service, you serving. My question to you is, were any of those things that you do now, were any of those birthed after divorce? Was it a result of, like, let me just find something to do? Or were these things that you were doing prior to the divorce?
I think a little bit of both. I would say I was already involved in my church, although probably not as much. It was somewhat new to me, and I was growing. My children were small, so trying to figure that out. I was working for a nonprofit at the time, and then later actually went through a couple of years of not working, and I'm trying to help build a business with my mentor, and kind of, my sister best friend type of thing. So we did that for a couple of years, and then began to venture out and kind of see what was there, and then ultimately end up coming to the county and kind of starting over, if you would, at the county. I had always been involved with my children's, like, PTA, and involved in, those kind of things, but definitely had an opportunity to do some more. But interesting enough, it's like, I'm an introvert. I am an introvert in nature, and really kind of stayed to myself, and people knew me. That was it. So it's funny, the people who know me now would say, no, you're not. But the people
Right.
who know true me, like, yes, you are. So I do think after the divorce, honestly, I found my voice, and I had to. You realize you went through this major change, and what you knew or was familiar is no longer new and familiar. Some of your friend circles change, some of your family circles change, you change, and it's time for you to do some real kind of introspection of what you need to do different, or what do you need to keep and what do you need to let go. And then some things you don't even know. It just kind of, life happens, things happen, you roll, and then you look back and realize, here's where I am. So I can definitely say that, yes, some things were probably, in part of my plan, but then there's a lot that's happening that was never a part of my plan. And I've just learned to accept it and go with some things, and, seek God as my guidance. And so that, that too has been a new experience, but a great learning lesson. And it doesn't stop, right? It continues to grow. I would not have ever thought that I would be doing this tonight. So, I kind of joked with you, but I have been urged and urged and urged over the last year and a half by, my guy, to get on live and, talk and share. And I'm like, no, not me. Like, I'll talk in a room, but, please don't turn on that camera. So who would have thought that I'd be here on this camera? But we do what we do, right?
We do
So
what we
I'm
do.
here.
Yes. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for your yes. You said yes to me, but you actually have said yes to yourself, giving yourself permission to use this as another layer of your healing, and so, as I shared with the guest before, and as I always say in relations to the whole movement, life after divorce, it's just another layer. Oftentimes we'll say, I am healed in this area, or I am healed, but And when is that tested? Like you don't really know if you're healed until you're put in position to respond healed or not, right? Because if you're not practicing whatever that said thing is, you don't know if you actually got it right. Now, as a mother, when I got divorced, as a mother, I practiced being a mother every single day because my child was in the home. My other kids, they had moved out, they were in college, but my youngest daughter was still home. So I had to put in order, I had to put in place the work that needed to be done in order for me to sustain as a mother and still go through divorce, still go through that process, right? But it wasn't until I began to date again that I realized there were still some pieces in me that were broken, or some work that I still needed to do. And so you're never going to find those things. There's certain things you just won't know where you're at as a gauge until you're placed into that compartment, right? And even now in dating, the guy that I'm dating, my guy, it's challenging. I am learning a lot about myself. I'm learning a lot about just dating in general. I'm learning a lot about just being open and vulnerable. Things are different from when I started dating my ex-husband. And, we were together for 20 years, married for 14. So imagine starting off at a young age and just getting in there for not even purpose, right? So my thing right now is all about purpose. I'm dating with purpose. I am moving forward in this relationship with purpose. Purpose to work on me, purpose to learn someone else, purpose to be able to gel. It's just so many different things versus, oh, he's cute. We went to high school together. I've always had a crush on him. Oh my God. Joe Johnson. I said his name. Sorry, guys. That's my ex-husband. We're cool. He's my homeboy right now. But those were some of the things I said, but that was out of immaturity. I didn't know. There was no real purpose to that, where today it is. And so the lane that I go down, the things that I do or lack thereof have a different purpose behind it. So when you were asked to be a part of this project, or when you agreed to be a part of this project, share with me or share with us, what was your mindset in that? Because first of all, let me back up. Did you feel that you were already healed, or did you feel that there was still some more work to do? This is a 3-part question. And if so, if there was still some more work to do you feel that this was another layer of your healing?
I would say when I saw kind of, making the statement or the ad of kind of asking women to get involved, I just thought it was a great opportunity to encourage someone else. So that's what I thought. Oh, this is a great opportunity to encourage someone else. This would be a great opportunity to support, another woman. So that was really my ideal and thought around it. I thought it was also a great way to partner with someone else that was doing great work and that was empowering women, in a different way. And so I thought this was a great partnership, and it was an opportunity. And I honestly hadn't thought about me, or like, what did that look like? And, in my personal situation or whatever. It was really about, how do I partner? How do I reach out and encourage other women? What can we do next? And it was also a great opportunity, I thought, honestly, to, start thinking about writing and co-authoring and, what does that look like and being a part. So that was my initial, like, okay, I want to do this. I would have to say it has evolved to be so much more, that. And so just the idea of, when it happened, and I'll share, I'm excited about it. It was the year that I turned 50, and I was really excited about my 50th birthday and wanted to do all these great things. And so we had some opportunities together as the women, the co-authors that you brought into our process, to get to know one another and share our stories and be involved in the photo shoot and the journal launch and all those things. And, I had always thought like that would have been great to do a 50th birthday photo shoot or to be involved in things. So it was really amazing to me how things that have been on my heart or desires of my heart have actually begun to come to fruition and manifest through this project. And so I know that this project is bigger than me. This project is bigger than, the 12 of us representing our months. And at the journal launch, that was amazing just to, to be in the room and see so many people kind of sharing and caring and being vulnerable. So I think that was also an opportunity. When we picked our months, I picked my month according to my birthday. I didn't know what vision God had given you. So I didn't realize that I was going to be the kickoff of the spring season and what it was going to mean for spring. And so,
Yeah.
reading the journal, and I have it, I have to take that little shameless plug. If you guys don't have your journal, it's
Mhm.
available on Amazon. You need to order it, but
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's a great just journal. And we each month there's a separate prompt, and there's scripture, and there's room to write and just kind of think and reflect. And even, something that was said at the journal launch was it was really about healing. And so even someone, maybe you weren't going through a divorce, but it was really about, searching yourself. And so that's what this has become for me. It's been a great opportunity to kind of do some introspection and to kind of think looking for, like, what do I want for myself and what are my purpose. The questions that I put in here and the writing prompt that I put in here for Women in the Month of March, I had to
Mhm.
ask myself,
Yeah.
well, what have you put aside? What are some of your goals? What were some of your dreams, and why
Yeah.
did you put them aside? And what's important to you now, and what are you out there chasing, and why? And
Yeah.
then realizing, as you shared, maybe you haven't done all your own work, and that happens as you face situations. It's become very clear, in my current relationship and in our 10 years of us knowing each other and being friends and partnering and building together, like, you bring your baggage, you bring your unresolved,
Yeah.
you think it's resolved, and a couple years later, here's that same ugly thing roaring in your face again.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other part, is realizing there's no such thing as like done and done. That
Yeah.
we're human, and we're always evolving and becoming, and that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's absolutely okay to go through whatever that process is, and for us to be okay with it. And so
Yeah.
that's been a learning process for me. I'm definitely one of those people who would like to say, I've done it, it's done, check it off the box, turn the page and move on. And
One.
that's not life. It doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that, because I think it's very important for those of us that are those who are on here listening, those that are going to come back for the replay. Again, thank you all for being here and being a part of this. Your support means so much to us. But I think it's very important for us to understand that you never really just arrive to healing, right? And even if you feel like, okay, I'm here, I have healed in this area, I would beg of you to create a maintenance plan, right? Because you have to maintain that piece of healing. I had to learn the hard way. And so where I thought, okay, I'm here, I have arrived, I've healed. Let me move on to the next thing. But I didn't bring along the lesson that I learned from that. So guess what happens? Because the enemy, life, things happen, it showed up again. And because I hadn't been practicing that thing, guess what I did? I failed the test, and I found myself having to go back over it. Yes, it was a little bit more familiar. It felt familiar because I had gone through it already. So I knew what to do, kind of, but not really, because it was with a different person, right? So with the different person comes different ways of responding to it. And this all became a part of my healing, understanding that I had to adjust according to the season of where I was at with who I was there with, right? And so, as you just said, you go through something, you want to mark it off and say, okay, got that, next. And then 2 years later, 2 months later, heck, 2 weeks later, it shows up again. And you're like, we just went through this. I thought we had that, right? But that's not healing. That's not how healing works. And so in the journal, or the journey to healing, there are certain things that you're going to have to respond to, right? I always say, ask yourself this question: where am I? And I always use the analogy about being in the mall and looking at the the sign, the kiosk that says you are here. And if I am trying to get to Nordstrom's and it's on the other side of the building, clearly I'm going to look at the route. What is it going to take for me to get there? Where do I need to go? Do I need to go downstairs, stay upstairs? Where do I need to walk? Which direction, right? Oftentimes in healing, we don't have a plan. We just know we want to heal. We want to get over these hurt feelings. I want my heart to mend again. I want to be able to love again, or I don't trust men, I don't trust women, whatever the situation is, because sometimes we go into that thing bitter, right? But what does it look like in action to heal? And so every woman that I have in this journal has given a different piece. When I've talked to you all one-on-one, you've shared something different with me as far as what was your healing process? What did you do? What made you write your piece in the journal? Was it just because you felt it would be something that's helpful for the next person, the woman who reads it? Or was it really something that you actually practiced? Was that a part of your healing? So for you being the start of the season, spring, right? I think everyone loves springs, bright colors, the weather begins to change from the rainy, you start seeing the sun, right? It's beautiful outside. We could change our wardrobe. We can now begin to unlayer sometimes, right? But of course, according to where we're at today, woo, baby, you better stay layered and be ready, right? But normally, right, we can begin to remove things. And so in the journal, I wrote a piece about what spring looks like in the natural, in the physical, in the spiritual, and as you're healing as it relates to divorce. But I asked you to give me a scripture that you think would help a woman who's going through divorce, or a woman that's just going through, right? I know that the platform today is about healing seasons of divorce, but I want to share with someone who may be on here thinking, this is not for me. I've never been married, or I've never been divorced, or I don't plan on being divorced, right? Whatever your it is. So the name of my business is Make It Rise. So whatever your it is, yes, the platform that we're talking about today is divorce, healing from divorce, right? But what do you need to heal from? Do you need to heal from daddy hurt? Do you need to heal from church hurt? Do you need to heal from depression? What is it that you are attempting to heal from? Everything in this book is still going to be relatable. So I just want to encourage you to hang in there and to use your it to be a part of this today's show. So your scripture that you used, Latrice, was Romans 8:28, which is one of my faves. And we know that all things work together for the good of those that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. So all things, that means there's nothing left on the table, no rocks left unturned. I mean, everything is everything. What made you use that scripture as one to encourage the next woman, me, because it encouraged me, and yourself? Why that scripture?
I think for me, like, that truly has been my testimony. The way things sort of played out, as I shared, I went through a divorce. My divorce finalized, and 2 months later, I also went through a reorg, laid off from my employer of 13 years. And so I mean, in real deal, I went from a 2 income household to a 0 household income in like 2.5 months, and was sitting there like, what just happened here? And realizing later that, things work out because it forced me to face some of my fears, to make some decisions that I had never made. I typically want, what does the rules say? I got to follow the rules, or what does everybody want me to do? What do my parents think? What do my grandparents think? And so, had made some decisions based on honestly what I wanted for me and what I thought was the best decision. And now had to live and walk in those consequences of whatever that was going to look like. And then also build and make the most of it. My daughter teases me now. She's a young adult, and she says, yeah, mom, we didn't even know that you didn't have a job because you used to get up and get dressed, take us to school, and go to work. Because I got up and got dressed and left out the house. So she was like, she didn't know until years later. And I was like, because I still had work to do. If my job that day was, go look for resources, go apply for another job. Like I said, we were trying to start a business. And so we were meeting with clients and consultants and things to, work our business, which we did for almost 2 years. So, but that was my job. My job was to be your PTA mom or be the PTA president, but never to like sit in my circumstance or sit in my situation. It was, go apply for Obama relief so they can continue to pay this mortgage. I mean, whatever that was. And so when I look back, things did work together for my good. Things did kind of come into play. Again, my guy, I'm now, like, I met him, during part of that season. And so, he would share kind of seeing a little bit of all those things, friends and family, having that village, and, having people that support me, that, some of those people are here now, some of them are not. And that's all okay too, because, we go through our seasons, and, we go through our situations with our family and our friends and people that we meet. And, one day sitting at a Christmas dinner with someone and then finding out a year later you're on a mission together, like that happens. And so definitely, I believe in Romans 8:28, and I continue to walk in faith.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's definitely one of for me a core scripture, because sometimes we question ourselves, we question God, when we go through certain things or we experience certain things. Is like, why me, right? And God is like, but why not you? Because when we say why me, we're saying, why me, why not her? Like, we're putting this thing on someone else that we don't want to feel, but we would prefer someone else to feel. But I'm a strong believer that anything that God has allowed us to go through, and when I say allow doesn't mean that he was the one to bring it to you. Sometimes the enemy brings it to us, and sometimes we bring it to ourselves. Anything that he allowed us to go through, it's only because he know what he has put in us, and that we are going to execute, that we have the strength and power to execute it. Mm-hmm. But we also have a choice to do it or not. So this scripture rings loud in my ear just for multiple reasons. When I lost my dad, when I went through divorce, separation, had to move back with my mom, sleeping in a den in the same bed with my 12-year-old daughter, not having the money that I once had, and even now not having that 2-income household. That's a shift. That's an adjustment that you have to get used to, especially if you had been doing it for 20 years, having 2 incomes in a home, and now all of a sudden there's only one. You have to learn how to budget. It's a lot. And so that scripture, like I said, ring loud for me. So thank you so much for sharing that in the journal. And I want to read your piece that you wrote for the women as well. You said, take a moment and think about the goals and dreams you have for yourself, the desires of your heart, the hope you set aside. Now, list them all, big and small. Begin to think about and write what you need to do in order to accomplish each goal. So for me, when I read that, you're telling the woman, look in the mirror, right? And I have this thing that I call the mirror ministry, you guys. I create all kinds of ministries, but the mirror ministry really talks about you. It's about you looking in the mirror and saying, what is it about me that I can do, that I can change, that I can, stop doing, right? Because oftentimes when we look in the physical mirror, we're looking in it to fix our hair, wash our face, all of the surface level stuff. But I challenge you to look in the mirror, to look within, go deep, go to the core. Let's pull out those things that can assist us, help us go to the next level, that's not hindering us, right? Because oftentimes we're looking out the window to judge other people, to blame, to point the finger and say, I did this because you did that. And so when I read your prompt, you're saying, take a moment and think about the goals and dreams you have for yourself, the desires of your heart. What does Tam want for herself, right? Aside from what I wanted as a wife, what do I want just as a woman? Sometimes we lose ourselves in wifing because no one has shared or showed us how to be that individual. You still have to maintain your individuality even when you say I do, right? And I'm going to say, for those of you who are married, who have been married, who's going to be married, who desire to be married, get your way of doing that from the Word. And if you're a person if you're not a believer, find you someone that will give you counsel, provide counsel that is going to show you how that can be done, give you hope. And it's not to say you have to do it exactly how the next person does it, but allow them to give you hope that it can be done. Just like we're doing here in this movement. Life after divorce, live life loud. We're not saying live it the way that Tam lived it, heal the way that Tam lived, heal the way that Latrice lived, healed. But let Latrice's story give you hope that you can. Does that make sense? So your prompt is, as I said, telling the woman to look in the mirror, reach back down and grab hold to those things that you once wanted to do, right? Whatever the desires of your heart was, let's tap back into that. Write them down, write the vision and make it plain so that he that reads it can run with it, right? And so he that reads it should be you. In this period, in this season, God dog it, be selfish. It's all about you right now. Because if you're not good for yourself, you are definitely no good for the next person. So when you wrote this prompt, what were your thoughts? Like, was this something that led you to your healing, or was this something you thought about after you began to heal and say, you know what, I think this will help someone else?
I think it was both. as I share, one of the first things that happened after the divorce was you need income. Like, what are you going to do? And
Yeah.
so, what I noticed, and I noticed this with some other friends as well, probably one of the first things we fall into is kind of, you know, being a part of things. So at that time, I started selling cookie leaf jewelry, and a lot of my friends and family would tease because they say they know whatever season I'm going through, whatever I'm working on, whatever I'm doing, everybody around me is doing it. So if I'm selling cookie leaf, guess what? Everybody's having a cookie leaf party,
Yeah.
So, I did that for a couple of years, but it was also an opportunity for me to make income, but to like meet other people and to kind of get out of my shell and, learn some business skills and things of that nature. And so, that flowed into the next thing and working. And so it did encourage me to start thinking about, well, what were some of the things that were important to you in the beginning, or what things have you missed out on, or thought you missed out on, or what excited you? And so you don't realize sometimes, who you were, what you put aside, not only doing like in wifing, as you say, but also in mothering. And so, we
Yeah.
sometimes kind of, absolutely, we sometimes have to sacrifice, and that's absolutely okay. But it should be something that we are still conscious and aware of. And, guilty or not, society is brutal on women, even now, whatever, we're in 2023, but society still dictates who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to do
Yeah.
things, and what a woman needs is supposed to look like, or what those behaviors and actions are. So that becomes very difficult. And so
Yeah.
finding, yourself and acknowledging who you are and loving you for who you are, I think was a very important process for me. And again, it's still going, it's still happening. I'm still finding,
Yeah.
you talk about, for me, finding LJ Speaks and, founding that organization is one of my dreams. And so it was something that I had to get back to. I have been kind of sitting on, taking some notes and stuffing it in a drawer, putting some notes and putting it in a drawer.
Yeah.
And I start participating in a women's ministry and a Bible study over the last couple of years in the pandemic. So even that, I would say that God used the pandemic for me. I sat and talked about how
Ooh.
I would like to go to Bible study, but I don't get home in time on Wednesdays, and I would like to get outside and go for walks, but I have to leave too early in the morning. And when the pandemic hit, it was like, guess what? You got time, boo. You're not driving to work, so go walk in the morning. You're at home on Wednesdays and time or Tuesdays, so log into your class. And so that started an entire, movement for me to,
Yeah.
to seek myself better, health wise, as well as, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and set up some new habits. And so I think all that still speaks to the, who are you? What do you want for yourself? And it continues, to move forward, and it continues to grow. And that list can change too. That's absolutely okay. It is
Yeah.
okay for you to take inventory of your list and decide this is no longer a priority of mine.
Yeah.
Realize this was a dream for that woman, but not the woman that I have become. That's absolutely
Listen.
okay. Or recognizing sometimes it was never your dream anyway, and it does not belong on your list. So
Yeah.
that's absolutely okay as well. So that's an evolving process. I think it's a fun process if you let it be. I think it can be very overwhelming. It can be very stressful. And so the other side of me writing that is I want women to know that you can be bigger, better, greater. Um, I remember the question being asked, and you talked about this during the journal launch. No, we are not encouraging divorce, but it happens. People find themselves in those situations. Decisions are made by both parties for whatever reason. So I don't want to focus on the how did you get here, but I
Right.
really want to focus on the what happens next and how do I live my best life. And I
Yeah.
feel that everyone and every woman has an opportunity to go live your best life, and you owe it to yourself to do so. So
Yeah.
even if today it doesn't feel possible, your season's coming. It's out there. It's about the
Yeah.
decisions that you start to make and the choices and who you begin to surround yourself with. And it's going to happen slowly but surely. Some people quicker, some people slower. You may find yourself repeating some patterns because you got to learn yourself and, break some chains and all those things. And so that's
Yeah.
absolutely okay. But it's going to happen. So.
I love it. Yes. And thank you for mentioning that we do not support or advocate
Right,
for
absolutely.
divorce. We are not here to advocate for divorce, but as you said, it happens, right? And so oftentimes people are just so afraid to talk about it. It's almost like it's taboo because we have been taught, whether it be at home or a lot of times, unfortunately, in the church, that divorce is you just automatically held bound, right? So we don't have the discussions. And my thing is, if we could possibly have the discussion about healthy marriages and healthy relationships, then we can avoid getting to the point of divorce, right? And we have a bigger chance of staying away from it. So, as I shared at the beginning of this, Make It Rise, really the foundation, our vision is to create a movement where we're changing the view of how society has defined marriage, right? That is the foundation of Make It Rise. But this vehicle that I'm in right now is talking to the woman and man who has experienced divorce. And so for me, oftentimes I sit with a lot of couples, or I sit with individuals. I'll say individuals that are single, that are divorced or going through divorce, that say, hey, but I'm not against relationship. I'm not against marriage. I want to be married again. But so my thing is, in order for us to be a healthy wife or a healthy husband, you must first be that as a healthy individual. So if you've experienced divorce, let's talk about the healing process so that when you are back in position, or that you can even be positioned to be available to remarry or to start relationship. And so I believe that the lane that I'm in, the walk that I'm taking as I'm dating, it's all for a reason, right? I'm able to share some of the things that I go through with people, just to let them know that, hey, me too. It's not just you. Just because I am the founder of this movement does not mean that I do not experience things, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that me and my guy don't have conversations where it's like, hey, Tam, you still got some work to do in that area. Right. Or I'm talking to myself and I'm saying, oh, I don't like that about me. Because as you said, we evolved. The person that I was when I said I do in 2004 is a completely different woman than I am today. What I want for myself is completely different than what I wanted back then. I don't even know if I really knew what I wanted, right? I didn't know who I was. I didn't know the difference between what I do and purpose, right? So when people would ask me, who are you? I would give them the things that I did versus what my purpose is. I would tell them who I work for. I would tell them, organizations that I was attached to. I would tell them that I was a mother, that I was a wife. But then when all of those things begin to remove themselves, or I begin to remove myself from those things that I was doing, I had to ask myself, does that really equate to your purpose or who you are, right? So if you're no longer a wife, then does that take away from who you are? If your children are no longer in the same compartment that they were, the younger they are, the more you have to do for them. Right. Once they begin to get older, go off to college, they become a little bit more independent and you're not doing as much. So is that taken away from who I am? And I said, no. So I went to a leadership class, and in that class is where it was really broken down, like who you are versus what you do. And so who you are, and this is just a side note, who you are should enhance what you do. Because I am a woman of integrity, all of that should enhance me as a mother, as a wife, employee, LA County Sheriff's Department, my own business, all of those things, my morals, my values, all of those things should enhance what I do. Right. And so it took some time for me to really get those things into alignment, but I had to learn it. So with you sharing all that you shared, Latrice, with the women, for yourself, for me, on this call, on this live, my God, I believe that a person who wants it, who wants to heal, who wants to begin the process of healing, get on the journey of healing, locking arms with women who have been walking down that road already. I believe that you are an amazing example. And I want to say to you once again, thank you so much. And I want to read some of the comments. You got some comments that are, they're giving you your kudos, right? So there was one young lady, let me go up. She says, that you are definitely empowering and inspiring, right? Oh, and so that is so good. And that's Queen Rivers. It's so good to hear those things, and it's not that we are hungry or thirsty for the pats on the back, but when you're pouring, giving, as we came on, you shared a lot of things that you do. So clearly you are a servant, you are serving. So sometimes we need it back, right? In order for us to fill the cups that we are emptying, we need to hear it back. So thank you, Queen Rivers, for sharing that. Also, Dr. Elliott says that she is proud of you. And I'm proud of you as well. You know, oftentimes we sit back and we may think to ourselves, like, oh, okay, I see you, Latrice, but we don't say it, you know.
Right.
So I want to encourage us, everyone that's on this call, anyone that came back to listen, you, Latrice, myself, sometimes we can get so busy and we see it and we keep going, but in our head, we're complimenting. Let's be a little bit more intentional about pouring into our sisters, our brothers, speaking,
Absolutely.
edifying them, you know, letting them know, like, hey, I see the work that you're doing. It's not in vain. So
Absolutely.
all of these comments are saying to you, sis, not in vain, not in vain, not in vain. Let's see.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you, dog. Thank you. Your season is coming. Thank you, love. This is Kim. She is one of the other co-authors of Seasons of Divorce. Love her to death. She is a force to be reckoned with. She has a story of her own, and she will be on with us in October. So I can't wait for that one as well. But, you know, it's just so important for us to feed each other, to share with each other, to love on each other. And
Yes.
so this is just another platform that says, hey, we're here to share our story, not to pat ourselves on the back, not to God. It's not about gossiping, but it's about giving hope. And so,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to again say thank you and give you the opportunity to share if you have anything that's coming up, to share anything that you may want to say to someone that may be listening that is going through divorce, something that's encouraging. I want to give you the floor to do that.
Well, thank you. I thank you so much for just being able to be here. And I do. I mean, I really want women and men alike, who are in this process or considering the process, to take the time to get to know yourself, and you owe yourself that, and to think of your dreams and chase those dreams. Just I had to own the fact that I was a dreamer. I was often kind of teased about, being a dreamer, but I realized, like, that's how God speaks to me. That those are, I hold dear. And so as I have began to really try to live those dreams and chase them, and what does that really look like to me, I'm happier. So I'm in a better place. And so,
Yeah.
as you say, serving others and being a part of, something bigger than me, has been important. And so I want women to feel comfortable with that. I want them to be okay with, just kind of pushing away all of what society has to play when it doesn't work to your good. I recall, when I was going through the process, people would walk up to you, or if they heard, they instantly was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then I'd say, "I'm good, I'm okay." Or they're like, "Oh," so then like the whole attitude would change. Or, even when I was making a decision, it was kind of a why. And so I found myself having to defend myself, like, why are you making this decision, and things of that nature. So I think it's really difficult to, live in this world and, be you. And because there's someone who's criticizing, there's someone who's judging, there's someone, and we're afraid, we want to get it right. Like, who wants to, like, make these mistakes? But, I've learned that it's okay to make mistakes. None of us are perfect, and it's okay to, make decisions that are going to work for your good. And, there's someone out here who's also going through a similar experience. And even if you don't know that person, it's also okay to have that quiet time by yourself to, sit and talk with God and to learn more about yourself. So that's what I would want to leave.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Yeah. You talked about, you mentioned sharing, supporting. No, you mentioned people asking you, trying to get my thoughts.
Yes.
People asking you why, and or even when you said you're divorced, they say, "Oh, I'm sorry," right? What I've learned in the journey of going through divorce, and then just talking to others who have divorced, is that people don't know how to support divorcees. You don't know what to say, right? It's the same way when someone has passed away and you say, "Oh, I lost my mom, I lost my dad." It's like, oh, you kind of get stuck. Like, how do you support that? What do you say? Because you want to be encouraging, but what are the words to say? So this platform, again, will help you, the person that doesn't know what to say to a friend or a family member that is going through divorce, separation. It's not a pity. I do not have a pity party. We don't want that. We're not looking for pity parties. We're looking for support. We're looking for someone that we can actually talk to, right? Don't avoid us. Those are some of the things that I experienced.
Right.
A couple of my friends avoided me, because they just didn't know what to say. And every time I came around, I was crying, you know. So it's kind of like, oh, this is heavy. What do I say to this lady, right? But you have journals, books, journals like this that you can purchase and give to that person, or you can share, you know, links like our page, our Life After Divorce page on Instagram that will help them. That's encouragement every single day. I'm trying to put something on there that is encouraging the woman or the man who is going through divorce to like look within and to build or rebuild themselves so that they can begin to live life loud, right? We have this gala that's coming up in November, sorry, that is also going to be amazing, and it's going to help people who are possibly going through divorce or are divorced to come and see what it looks like in action for people who have already been there, done that began the healing process and continue maintaining their healing, right? We also have the males edition, the men's edition of Life After Divorce, which I am super excited about. So if there's any man that is on this call that's listening, or you know someone who has been divorced and is willing to share a little piece of their story and the tools that they use in order for them to begin to rebuild and become healed and whole, please direct them to us, because we're still looking for men who's willing to share their story in our next book that's going to be released in the summer of this year. So again, Latrice, thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Thank you for locking arms with me and the other ladies and the men that are a part of the movement. It's a movement and definitely not just a moment. You went through what you went through for a time such as this. I know when you went through your divorce, you never thought that you'd be a part of a group that was talking about healing after that thing, because it just hurt so doggone much at the time, right? Trying to put everything together and figure it out, and still trying to figure it out. You mentioned dating right now, right? And I'm sure, because I'm currently dating, that's a challenge in itself. You know, you just have to begin to rewire your way of thinking and not being bitter and not putting a jacket on someone that it doesn't even fit. Even when you see, and this may be sidebar, but even when you see similar or the same exact thing that the other person did, oftentimes we automatically write them off. We're like, red flag, that's it, I'm going to cut, right? But their motives behind it could be completely different. And so I would encourage you to, if you see a red flag, I'm not going to say that it's not a red flag, but give them the opportunity to shift that red to yellow and then to green, and then move from there. Like, give them the opportunity to know that, hey, when you did that, it made me feel like this, and this is why, right? We can't just cut folks off immediately. We have to have grace as God has with us. So God gives us grace daily. There's so many things that we do over and over and over again, and it is the same exact thing, and it does have the same meaning behind it. And God still gives us grace and opportunity to make it right. And so I'm not saying, by far am I saying, when you see all of these red flags, you just stand in there. No, we have our negotiables and our non-negotiables, but I'm also asking you to just have grace. Just have grace, just like you would want someone to have it with you. So again, Latrice, thank you for sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of tonight's show. Please like, please share, please comment. We'll go back through if there's something that we need to answer. Thank you, Attitude Fierce. If there's something we need to answer, I will share links. I'm inviting you, I'm personally inviting you to be a part of the gala. To be a part of the gala in November, to join us for all of the events leading up to that, because the gala is actually going to be an award ceremony. We're celebrating those who have been a part of the movement since for this year. So it'll be the women from the journal and then the men from the book that'll be released in the summer. I would love for you to be a part. I would love for you to be a part. Early bird tickets are going on sale this week, you guys. For those of you who are out of state, we have a block of rooms that have been set up just for you at the Embassy Suites LAX, where the entire event is going to be held. We're going to do, in the daytime, we are going to do a panel discussion with the men and the women and you. And then that evening, it will be the gala, where we are going to just party and have a great time. So again, thank you so much for being a part. Latrice, I love you, girl. We will be connecting sooner than later. And absolutely. Yes, and we will see you soon. Bye, you guys.
Good night.